welcome you here today to this forum. This forum is a result of the growth and maturity of the HOOPS project. For those of you who do not know what HOOPS stands for, it stands for Helping Out Our Primary and Secondary Schools. This program started out as a seed. Through careful attention, proper irrigation and fertilization, it has blossomed into a marvelous tree. The seed was generated and planted by the hard-working Slaffy members, all of whom are under the age of 35 and all volunteers. It is through their determination that the HOOPS seed was planted. So for that, I say thank you. The attention given to HOOPS came from a number of sources, whom I must thank today. Firstly, our senior partner, ICA, whose support in project management, technical resources, and the use of their physical office space really made this project possible. Secondly, the Ministries of Agriculture and Education, whose resolve to seeing this project work has never waned from the inception. Last and by no means of less importance, the schools who have participated in this project and have been able to change their schools' lives as much as that of their students. To all of you, I say thank you. The irrigation came through the Travel Foundation out of the UK, Renwick and Company, and the SLHCA. These organizations gave the HOOPS the vital supply of water so that the seeds could rise from the ground and form a beautiful young tree. To all of you, I say thank you. The HOOPS first phase came to an end, and the school community, seeing that magnificent tree rise, had more schools wanting to partake of its fruit. It was a grand task, and the HOOPS needed fertilization. It needed that injection of extra nutrients that would allow it to grow and produce so much more. Then suddenly, a powerful homegrown fertilizer came forth to assist and ensure the beautifully developed tree would never die. That potent organic homegrown fertilizer is Consolidated Foods Limited. The formula developed was unique, a natural supplement that fostered unprecedented growth and production. Even through the worst storm to hit our lovely island in years, Thomas, the organic homegrown fertilizer, CFL, assured that the HOOPS tree stood tall and strong. We continue to be so fertilized, and the fruit of the HOOPS tree has already been consumed by many, but shortly we'll be able to identify with those fruits. To CFL, I say thank you. Slaffy's mandate is and will continue to be to work towards the improvement and growth in agriculture for youth. Many a scholar, be him at university or on the streets, see agriculture as a menial task set aside for the poor, rural, less cultured amongst us. As we see on a regular basis, the farmer is the only one who holds his phone upside down, the only one who is dirty, missing teeth, or downright what I do not want to be. We hope to change all of that through the HOOPS. And we have begun, and we will continue to lobby and work hard towards changing that opinion. It must be said that the only solution to the current economic woes facing this island is through agriculture. The question, however, is how and why. I shall start with why. An economy is like a tree. If the roots are weak, the tree dies. The only industry that can form roots of a robust economy is agriculture. Agriculture is the foundation of manufacturing, industry, medicine, tourism, construction, energy, culinary arts, and many more. Though we tend not to credit agriculture for any of the successes in those sectors. I challenge anyone, however, who wishes to grow any of these sectors to do so without a strong agricultural sector. We call for investment in areas such as banana plant conversion into wood and paper products, the use of castor oil and essential oils as sources of fuel and medicine, industrial hemp, and the use of cassava to replace wheat, just to name a few. We call for the creation of a venture capital fund, and we recommend no less than $20 million solely for investment in productive agriculture. When we have a vibrant agricultural sector, all other sectors must benefit. I wish not to take up more of your time expounding on the strengths and importance of agriculture, and I can go on and on about the only thing we must all do every day, which is agriculture. SLAFI has written a number of projects which we hope to implement in the near future, chief among them a riverbank restoration plan. We also are confident that our learned Minister of Agriculture, to whom we have already submitted another SLAFI initiative, will find much favor with our request as he seeks to ensure, like us, that agriculture is the root from which a strong economic tree can be grown. So to this forum, I will be discussing how we can continue to enhance agriculture. I say, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and I totally agree with you. And we also applaud the efforts of HOOPS and SLAFI for the promotion and development of agricultural science in our schools, which is of paramount importance in the growth and development of the economy of our country. With that being said, I would like to call Mistress Alain, the Vice Principal of the Marigot Secondary School, to offer views.
The Marigot Secondary School is perceived as the most privileged among many, considering its strategic location, both in terms of its placement in the agricultural belt, as well as being in a vibrant touristic village. The school's model farm project, and this includes fish production, rabbits, we have not started yet, but we're looking at livestock as well, has contributed to the nation's development by bringing in a new approach to learning agriculture and implementing new technologies for agriculture production. The model farm project was conceptualized mainly to improve the quality of education through the introduction of new technologies and integration of other subject areas such as food and nutrition, principles of business, principles of accounts, and the sciences, to supply the school's canteen and local market with vegetables, fruits, and meat, to foster the development of entrepreneurial skills and agro-business training, to foster linkages with other schools, thereby assisting students in accomplishing their stipulated school curriculum needs, to improve the quality of the family's nutrition without increasing cost of living, to inspire children to start small production units in limited backyard spaces and to use their available free time efficiently, to create an avenue for technology transfer vital for agricultural development and food security, to create linkages with various business establishments. St. Lucia Agriculture Forum for Youth, SLAFI, under the umbrella of ICA, launched the HOOPS project with a mandate to promote agriculture as a viable business option for the youth, to access opportunities for growth in the agriculture sector and establish linkages with the tourism sector. The HOOPS project has been instrumental in providing materials and training to the schools. The materials included providing greenhouses with a stable market for its produce, a new caging system along with 12 new rabbit stock, and agricultural supplies donated by Consolidated Foods Limited. Training was also provided in the form of a series of lectures, and the HOOPS project partnered with CFL, Bureau of Standards, and Forestry Department. Participating in the HOOPS project has enhanced the school's confidence and technical expertise, which has spiraled in other areas of the teaching-learning process. This was evident in the 2012 Science Fair project, which was conceptualized by our integrated science and agricultural science students. The students participated in a project and they won the project. They won the 2012 World Environmental Day contest. I wish to commend SLAFI for the initiative of designing a logo for the Hoops project. Students, the logo unveiled here this morning will be your trademark, and as such, it must always represent commitment, hard work, and most of all, high quality. Teachers, you are part owner of this trademark because you are the ones instructing, guiding, and molding the students. The Marigot Secondary School will always be indebted to ICA, Consolidated Foods, and all the other partners, SLAFI as well. So on behalf of the principal, the staff and students of the Marigot Secondary School, I wish to say thanks to all the partners for the success we have gained so far with our agricultural program. We look forward with keen anticipation for continued collaboration and support in sustaining these projects already implemented and other aspects of the Model Farm project that we hope to implement soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ala. I would now like to call on Ms. Saraya Bess Joseph, Divisional Head of the Marketing and Corporate Communications, Consolidated Foods Limited.
Our commitment to Hoops highlights the value that we place on the future of the agricultural sector. For the last 3 years, our investment through sponsorship as well as close collaborations have helped to enhance agriculture as a business subject in schools, but more importantly, ensuring the sustainability of the sector through education and community building to promote a healthy and sustainable food system. In fact, it is my view that today's theme, Youth in Agriculture, Creating New Agri-Leaders for Sustainable Development, captures the essence of our decision as a company to wholeheartedly embrace this program and the over $150,000 invested to date. I am pleased to note the very solid relationship that has been developed between our buying depots, our supermarkets, and the schools. Much of what is grown within the program is sold at both Super JIJ supermarkets and Mega J. As a local and proud company, CFL is taking responsibility and taking action on this all-important issue. In closing, let me assure ICA, SLAFI, as well as the Ministry of Agriculture of CFL's continued commitment to agriculture. This remains steadfast, Honourable Minister. We encourage the schools, the principals, the agricultural science teachers, and the students to continue to make very good use of the many opportunities presented through Hoops. We wish you all the very best with today's activity.
Thank you very much, Ms. Bess. And once again, we applaud the effort of CFL in the strive to help or to make our students more agriculturally literate. That is, they know about food production, processing, etc. At this point, I would like to call Ms. Unamik Gordon, the ICA representative in the Eastern Caribbean states, to offer a few words.
Welcome to my partners. It is really indeed a pleasure for me as ICA representative to just sit here this morning and to offer very brief remarks. This is the day for the students. But I want to, in the short time that is allowed, to just say that this is really, really a perfect example of partners converting intent into action. Saying that youth are not involved or are not engaged in agriculture, but getting youth involved in agriculture to show that this is not so. When we say youth are not involved in agriculture, we do nothing about it. We are subscribing to the notion that they are not involved in agriculture. And by the students being here this morning, making their way all the way from down south and getting here on time, as I would say, we can demonstrate that this inaction is not a part of our psyche. So I want to thank the Ministry of Agriculture and CFL for all the pressures and the commitment that was brought to bear in getting hoops to this point. Sometimes I like to say, as policymakers and development partners, we tend to look for solutions where there are already solutions to the problem and where solutions already exist. And hoops is a perfect example of what is possible when we focus on an idea that was seeded by the youth themselves. I want to hasten to say that it has not been easy. It really has not been easy. And agriculture by virtue, by nature, is really not easy. Today we are having the rains, and I am sure every single farmer in St. Lucia, whether you have water on farm or not, is really, really happy today. So by virtue of us being in the sector, we know already that we have things stacked against us. I also want to place on record our real distinct pleasure and our thanks to two persons who have been engaged in the hoop since day one. Valerie Donat, the secretary in ICA, and who manages the secretariat of both CAFE and SLAFE, and Kurt Harris, the president of SLAFE. I like to call them the trim tabs of the hoops. And if you all know what a trim tab is, it's that little thing in the ship that keeps the rudder going. It is that little thing that nobody knows about. They are the trim tabs of the Hoops project and the SLAFE. So Valerie and Kurt, let me publicly thank you for your commitment to this project. Without your days of frustration, yesterday I know was one of them, but careful planning and just dedication to see the students not only being engaged in a program, but that each time you meet with the students, it is an experience, and each time you bring the students together, it is an experience worthwhile. So thank you Valerie and Kurt. And thank the students who are engaged in the hoops for giving us the joy when each time we see you and each time we visit the school, we want to continue to look for the resources to move the process forward. But in saying that, where do we go from here? Phase 1 is closed with some successes. We used the lessons learned from phase 1 and we constructed phase 2. Phase 2 closed and we used the lessons learned and we constructed phase 3. Phase 3, lot of successes, lot to write home about to close. Where do we go from here? As an institution, we remain committed to the concept of the hoops. So we now throw out the call to other private sector partners to look at the hoops, to use it as a mechanism and a way to invest in our youth, to nurture the tree that I think Kurt so carefully articulated, the tree that Hoops is now and which he presented to you. We encourage as well the Ministry of Agriculture and the government of St. Lucia to use the Hoops as a vehicle to have youth continue to be engaged in agriculture and to be engaged in this vital sector. It is not a perfect mechanism, but I can assure you that with nurturing, it is something that we can indeed say would be sustainable over the long run. Agriculture, as you know, is no longer just the responsibility of producing food for our nation. It is a strategic sector for ensuring social peace and for the preservation of the environment. What better way to start to secure the peace of our nation by encouraging agriculture in the schools, especially in the primary schools. Let me end by saying let us all use this project and its successes, which are many and which are well documented, to continue to dispel the myth that youth are no longer interested in agriculture. This is a myth that the hoops can help us to dispel. For me personally, I could not end this session today without saying that hoops demonstrate to us that CAFI, and by extension its national chapter, SLAFI, has come of age. CAFI was launched here in St. Lucia 10 years ago. And this project and the activity of today is telling us that it was a well-constructed idea when we launched the Caribbean Agriculture Forum for Youth here in St. Lucia 10 years ago. Hoops is now an adolescent, and we know what happened to adolescents if we as parents leave them alone. So let us continue to nurture, let us look to the future, and let us ensure that we give credence by our actions here today to the theme of creating leaders for the future in agriculture. Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Gordon. Please join me in welcoming to the podium the Honorable Minister of Agriculture, Mr. Moses Jabatis, to deliver the feature address.
I thank you for this invitation. I think this activity today is very important. Although you are having a panel discussion, I recognize that instead of just a panel discussion, this is also an awareness building exercise, not only for students who are here, but also for the country. This march towards getting youth involved in agriculture and food production must be commended. I wish once again to echo the sentiments of speakers before me who commended ICA and the hard work that this organization has done throughout St. Lucia to produce real results that you can measure, results that you can actually see and feel. I wish to commend, I say to you young people, that this forward movement in agriculture and food production in this country is important, not simply because we want you to take another subject in your school curriculum, but it has a much wider significance. Just this morning, while I was driving up to this function, two doctors, Dr. Didier and Dr. Rommel Daniel, were on a program on Radio St. Lucia called 90 Minutes. And their discussion was based on the rampant the rampant existence of what you call NCDs, non-communicable diseases that we have in St. Lucia. They indicated that in the world, about 60% of deaths in the world is because of these non-communicable diseases like hypertension and diabetes. And further research indicated that in St. Lucia in 2010, we had 10,706 people living with either diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, and so on. 52 people died in St. Lucia in 2010 from heart disease. And in the Caribbean, we have in the Caribbean and Latin America over 52 million people who do not have access to safe and affordable food. I wish to say to you also that the doctors indicated that this is a crisis in St. Lucia that needs urgent attention. Why am I saying so to you? I'm saying so to you because your involvement in agriculture and food production is not simply because it's a subject in school. It has to do with our survival. It has to do with your survival. It has a lot to do with your future medical bills. It has a lot to do with whether you will be spending thousands and thousands of dollars trying to get medical attention in and out of St. Lucia. And the doctors this morning put it very starkly that we have a serious crisis in St. Lucia, and part of the solution is our urgent attention to food production in this country. I say to you also, young people, that in 2011, in St. Lucia we had 24% of our population, 24% of our people who can work were not able to find work. 24%. And out of that, 40% can be attributed to youth, young people. And why is this important? It is important because agriculture and food production is an avenue, a very fertile avenue, if I'm to use some of the language of our president here. It's a fertile ground, fertile avenue for creating employment for ourselves. I remember very vividly that possibly the first $100 or $200 that I made after leaving secondary school at 16 years of age was out of my little backyard garden in my mother's yard, growing tomatoes and corn. I could not believe that out of about 10 beds, you could have made at the time $100. And from that time, I continued to make money in agriculture, even up to this day. I say to you students that this activity today is very important, very significant, because this is a doorway to your future. And take it seriously. The teachers who are here, I recognize many of them, and I also recognize some of them who up to today, I believe, still have their backyard gardens and can still claim that they pay their electricity bills and their water bills out of agricultural activities. So what is the government doing? What are we doing to help you? And what are we doing to, what do we hope to achieve in the next 3 years, which will create this fertile ground for you to prosper? I want to say to you very briefly that in the next 4 years, when we will be asked to go back to the people to seek another mandate, as Minister for Agriculture, I want to be able to say that we have caused there to be a refocusing of the attention of St. Lucia and the ministry on the individual farm businesses that we have in St. Lucia. And what do I mean by that? We are attempting to refocus the ministry's attention and the government's attention, the country's attention, to our farm business units. We are attempting to ensure that we strengthen the partnerships that we have with ICA, the FAO, the Food and Agriculture Organization, with CFL, and with the banks, with so many partners, to ensure that the farm business unit is more profitable. And if in the next 4 years we can demonstrate, if I can demonstrate that by way of measurable results, I'll be a happy minister. So all of what we're doing in the ministry, all of what we're doing in the government about trying to get land, and the president spoke about it, another speaker spoke about it, all of what we are doing with the marketing board, all of what we are trying to do with the banana companies, all of what we are trying to do with the policy and the Agricultural Incentives Act and the Agricultural Incentives Bill, for me personally as a minister, all of that must cause the private sector in food production, the farmers, the fishers, it must cause them to improve their profits, to increase their profits, and to create more wealth. And so we are trying to focus on farmer organizations, on the schools. We are trying to ensure that we have a food and nutrition policy in place, which we are working with the Ministry of Health on. We are trying to ensure that we strengthen the relationship among organizations like ICA and the ministry and so on, to strengthen our links. We are trying to ensure that the ministry itself becomes more of a facilitator, that the ministry itself sharpens its tools in order to deliver to the farm business units. We are trying to ensure that we strengthen our infrastructure in livestock so that once again the farm business unit becomes more profitable. If we do that, we are sure that our economy will strengthen. We are sure that our rural areas will recognize and will feel economic growth, and we will have done our jobs, not only as public servants, but also as politicians. I want to say to you students that there are opportunities out there. And I really appreciate what your president said, the president of SLAFI, when he painted this picture, that what you see on television about farmers, and he's so correct, is the farmer whose food is upside down and dirty. And it's something we have to work very hard to change. And so we continue to work with the bee farmers, for example, to show you that this $17 million opportunity in honey production and honey byproducts is one we must tap into. Essential oils and guardian and all of those things that we have in St. Lucia that can create employment. So I want to say to you that I am committed. I want to tell you, CFL, ICA, Ms. Gordon, SLAFI, school principals, all of our partners, I want to say to you that as Minister for Agriculture, Fisheries, Rural Development, and Food Production, I'm committed. You can count on me to assist you in every way that I can. You can count on our ministry to become more and more efficient. You can count on the government to be serious about changing the fortunes of food production in this country, to ensure that we grow the agricultural subsector and create more employment. Look out in this budget to hear some new ideas. I'll just tease you and say to you, how is it that we are unable as farmers to provide meals to every single school child in this country through a proper and centralized school feeding program? Can you imagine if we do that? You know how many farmers will sell lettuce and how much money CFL will make by partnering with a centralized system of a school feeding program that ensures that as children get at least one warm, healthy meal every single day? You know how much money farmers can make? And you know how much you can save through medical bills in the future if we have just this little activity? And there's a lot more. There's a lot more. So I say to you, to knock on our doors. I congratulate ICA, all of the ministry staff, the teachers, the students, CFL, for the work that you're doing. And let's work together to ensure that we pull St. Lucia out of this economic rut. And I agree totally with the speakers before me. It will happen if it happens in agriculture. I thank you very much, and congratulations, and have a nice panel discussion. Thanks.